what we're going to talk about this next section is just about how to create these online contacts. We talked a lot about the importance of the contacts and kind of what to do with them, and make sure that you're building these relationships. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. I've given you just some examples of ways that you can do it. And if you just use a little bit of creativity, you're gonna come up with some things that I haven't even mentioned that may work very well for you. That's the neat thing about this, is it's kind of new territory in many ways. And people are pioneering these kinds of things. These are new concepts as far as on the digital world is concerned. And I say new as in within the last few years. But there's some things actually that are even more cutting edge that are more complicated. But it's a growing process. And you can also contribute to this process, because what works for example, in the marketing world and the business world is not going to work exactly the same way in the religious world. We have to recognize that. And there may be some things that we can do that they won't be able to do, simply because of the nature of who we are. But we'll kind of stumble upon those things as we go and as we learn things. So in talking about online contacts, for now, email is boss. That's the rule. You get their email address. That's, as we said before, it's the holy grail. And it really is. The reason for that is because it's very personal. You can make it very personal. Some of the email that we get is not. Most of the email that we get is not personal, but it can be. And the emails that I read the most are the ones from my friends, or the ones that make it personal somehow. And you kind of strategize about how to do that. But email is king. Email is boss. You have something that's very personal that is addressed to you that you can see at your leisure, and it's got usually has, if you signed up for it especially, it has some good information. And the ones that's not good, we can get rid of them and just weed them out if we don't have time anymore for those kinds of things. But everything that we do online, now I'm thinking about strategizing in order to help the church grow, to help grow in the sense of spreading our influence. That's the growth I'm talking about. Making these contacts with people in the world around us, to be an influence. And that really is about all we can do, to influence people as best that we can. In doing that, everything that we do as the congregation, or even as individuals working to help the church grow, everything should work toward growing this list. That's what we're pushing everything toward. You go to the TTIL.tv. In fact, if you have phones or access right now, if you want to go there, you'll see. You go to TTIL, and you're going to see sign-up list. You're going to see me asking for your email address. And that's totally optional. And some of it is a little bit annoying. I'm kind of testing some ideas. Some of it's going to be pop-up every now and then. I think it's set to pop up after 30 seconds, because I figure if you're there for 30 seconds, you're actually interested in the site. And so you're more likely to sign up. Whereas if you're just accidentally hit it, you're not going to really want to put your email in there anyway. But it has an option of closing that off. So I'm testing that out a little bit. But everything I'm doing is trying to develop toward that, pushing toward that end. When I go to lectureships, what I'm starting to do now is I'm moving everything toward a email sign-up list. I just want to collect all the emails that I can, because I know there's where a lot of power is. I'm going to be around people. For example, at the end of this month, actually next week, I'm going to go to Denver. And there'll be people there I'll never see again. But if I can get an email address from them, we can have an opportunity to interact. And my goal in the Truth and Love is not just to reach people that are outside of Christ. I want to help people that are Christians. So my goal is also to incorporate as much as I can of the church into what I'm trying to do. So I have goals in that area. But everything is working toward this. The emails that I send out, I'm encouraging them to share with other people, and I'll try to put on the bottom. I've just started this week. Put on the bottom, if this was shared to you by a friend, it's because they care about you. Please sign up for our email address, our email list, so you can be on the list too. And I'm encouraging people to share it, and I'm encouraging people to sign up. Everything is geared toward this. And we call it a funnel. We're trying in all these different ways, trying to funnel them into this list. When you have someone go on to your Facebook page, it should in some way, now Facebook doesn't like this, but they still allow it. So in some way, you want to try to get them to go from your Facebook page, link to your internet address, so they come to your website. The whole goal is to get them to the website. The reason that you want to get them to the website is so that you can entice them into giving them your email address, their email address. That's the whole reason you have the website, really, when you come down to it. If you want to build these relationships. Now, obviously, there are other reasons to have the internet web address. But we want to give information, that kind of stuff. But that information and everything should be leading to a relationship. And the best way that you can have a relationship outside of them actually coming into these walls, which is obviously what we want. But outside of that situation, if you have someone visiting your church website from Alaska, they're not going to come visit. Sorry. But does that mean that you don't want to have any kind of relationship with them? Are they not worthy to hear the gospel or to be encouraged with the message of Christ? Obviously, we know that it's good to interact with them, those kinds of people as well. We're reaching people in the world around us, in the community, and also digitally, online. It's a world, and it's part of our world, and it should be something that we're reaching out into. You just never know what kind of impact you're going to have. So email is the boss. That's where everything is pointing toward. I would even encourage, and we did this before when I was preaching in Dallas, and not as much as I wanted, but I'm trying to encourage them at Brown Trail to do this too. You're out door knocking, and you're passing out information. Go for email addresses. Get them to visit your website so that they'll sign up for the email. You have events, and you have a gospel meeting or a VBS. Put a clipboard out there and ask them if they would share their email address with you. Don't make it mandatory or required, but let them have the opportunity. They might want to hear from you. Give them the chance, and then you can build a relationship. And, it's a lot more effective when people come for VBS if they actually hear from us again, right? It used to be VBS was oriented toward evangelism. Kind of, in some places, we've kind of gotten away from that. This is a way to revive that. Have their parents sign up. You could have them even sign up. Have them put down their cell phone number so that you can text them if there are any problems, or you can call them if there are any problems. That's common. Once you do that, you can. This is legitimate. Now, you would only do this once, but legitimately, you can send them a thank you for attending. You would send it one time. Just wanted to say thanks. And by the way, if you're interested in keeping in contact with us, go here or text this number to be put up on our email address automatically. You can actually have a number set up where a constant contact does this. That is something that they do better than MailChimp. And I forgot about that. We had that set up. I just bought constant contact. But anyway, you can set it up to where someone can text a certain number, and they can say whatever you want to say. They can say, sign me up, or say plus, or whatever you want them to say. And when that phone number is dialed, and that word is transferred to the company, they will automatically add that person to your email address list. And it's an opt-in form. It's just one of the many ways of doing it. So you can send them a thank you text. Say, we're so thankful that you brought your child to VBS. If you would like to stay in touch with us, please text to this number, text this word. And they can text that if they want to stay in touch. If not, no harm done. You give them the option. And hopefully when they were here, they built a little bit of a relationship, and they wouldn't mind getting an email from you one or two times. I want to back up to thousands of years ago, and I want to share with you why this, again, reminding you why this is so important. When we think about the first century, how it grew, we recognize that there was a certain situation that they inherited by the very fact of the time. When the fullness of the times came, and Jesus was brought forth into the world, Galatians 4:4. So the fullness of times arrived, And what did that include? Now, there are a lot of things that we could say that were included in this, but we can go back to the Babylonians and the Assyrians and see how that during the captivity, the tabernacle system was set up and established, and there's some dispute about exactly where and when that is set up, but it certainly was during the captivity sometime. And was that actually useful in the New Testament for the spread of the gospel? Yeah. It helped to spread the gospel because there was a situation that had people studying the Word of God on a weekly basis. And Paul could walk into a bunch of Jews and say, this is what the Bible says, Jesus is the Christ and Messiah. And they could believe it based on the things that they'd learned. So that was something that God evidently arranged. And we also can look at the Persians, how they exhibited the rule of law. And they really established that even their own kings were subject to the law. And so law was established very strongly, and that was very helpful in the time. There's other things that they contributed as well, and I guess we could always debate some of these things. But Persia established in the rule of law. Greece, we had a common language and a common culture in the first century. It was because Alexander the Great conquered the world. Said that some historian said that whenever he conquered India, he sat down and cried because he didn't have anybody else to conquer. Well, at 33, he did an amazing amount of work, and their band of men really tore up the world. But they developed a common language and a common culture that spread all over the world, Hellenized the world, is what we would say. And that was important because then when people were spreading the gospel, most people could understand Greek. And they had this common language. With peace, with Rome, they had the peace that allowed then, for the most part, people to be able to spread the gospel and not have to worry about the situations where there's wars and things like this. There was a great amount of peace in that time period. And, of course, there was never perfect peace, but there was a lot of peace. And the road systems were very important. You could travel very quickly in doing these things. Then we have Acts chapter 20 and verse 20, where Paul says that he preached the word publicly and from house to house. And where did he get this idea? Well, Jesus did the same thing. Where he went, preached publicly and privately. Publicly and privately. And there's power in those two things together. The public proclamation from this pulpit is very powerful. It is far more effective and far more powerful when there is private proclamation of the word to other people around in the community, because then it just all reinforces each other. I still haven't figured out where I've seen this, but I read of a man in the 1800s who was one of these itinerant preachers, and he would go around and he'd preach a meeting for a month, and he would have 600 people baptized, and different places. I mean, he just had numbers like that on a constant basis. And so he was asked one time, and he was writing an autobiography, and he revealed the answer. And he said he was asked, "How do you do this?" He said, "I'm going to tell you a secret. For 6 months before I arrive somewhere, the people are in the communities sitting down with other people in the community, talking to them about Jesus, and talking to them about the Bible, and talking to them about this meeting that we're going to have. And they're encouraging them to come, and 6 months later, I show up, I preach a few sermons, and people just come down in droves. I didn't do anything. All I did was preach. The work was already done when he got there." And Jesus had a lot of this same things happening too. He was working day in and day out, publicly and privately, we can learn to do the same thing. So where is our marketplace today? Where's the public proclamation? Now we say, it's the pulpit. How public is this pulpit really? If you're streaming it online, it's pretty public. But how many people are watching it? It depends on how much we're promoting it, right? But we have television, we have radio, we have internet access, like Facebook, things like that. There's so many YouTube, so many things that we can do to get it out there. And you're doing that. You're supporting us at the Truth and Love. You're probably supporting some other things that relates to that. And that's very good and helpful. And it's powerful because you just never know. Somebody may be struggling along and they've been hearing messages and then they hear the public proclamation. There's a couple at Brown Trail that they're Christians basically because of the Truth and Love. And they tell me their story every now and then, and I keep asking them about it because it's fascinating. But they actually, it's funny because they were converted because they watched a program, and I believe it was Dave Miller. He was preaching on divorce, and they just happened to turn the television on and see him, and they're not divorced. They have a problem with it, but it angered them to the core. And it made them so angry that someone would dare stand up and say this stuff about divorce, and how he's judging all these people that have been divorced in the past, and telling them that they can't go to heaven and blah, blah, blah. And especially her said what it made me want to do is go slap him, but then it made me want to watch it again. So she actually wrote in and asked for a copy of it, and then some other information, and she started watching it more and more, and then the more she watched, the more she realized he was right, and she was converted later on. And it all started because she saw it on television. There are lots and lots of examples of that. So that's kind of our marketplace nowadays. We're not going to be able to go to Walmart and stand in the aisles and preach. We can try. You know how long it's going to last? Just long enough to get the security guards over there, right? It's not going to help anything. But this is our outlet. So how do you grow your list? Well, you promote it. You talk about it. You get people in the public proclamation to talk about it if you can. You put it on the airwaves somehow. You talk about it individually. You talk about it as a congregation and as members of the congregation. You talk about it. You get people involved and interested. And in order to do that, you've got to be kind of sold on it. Now, why did I bring up the situation in the first century with the background and how everything led up to those perfect circumstances? The reason I did that is because I'm trying to show you that there's been some similar things happen with the internet. That now we have, actually, there is a growing commonality of language in the world, being English. And I don't know how fast it's growing anymore. I don't know if it still is, but last I checked, it's growing. Especially in the business world. That's the language to know. Then we see that we have the common language of internet. There are people that you will reach in your lifetime that you will have no other means of reaching them except for the internet. And it's hard to underestimate. It's easy to underestimate. It's hard to overestimate the importance. Because what we don't get to see is the reactions. When somebody reads something that we send them, we don't get to see how they respond. If they were in the congregation, we would see how they respond to a sermon, but we don't get to see that. So it's frustrating for us. But we also know that the Word of God teaches us, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58, that we need to be steadfast and immovable, always bound in the work of God. And he says, knowing that your labor is not in vain. So we need to remember that we will always reap what we sow. And if that word finds the hearts that are right in the right conditions, which we can help them have, then we are going to see something from it. And we may not see it ourselves, but they will see it. Now, which one is better? That they will actually respond and go to heaven without us even knowing about it, or that we would see their response and see them go to heaven? Well, obviously, it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't really matter whether or not I see it. All that matters is if they go. And if I can help someone along that way, then I'm going to. And the only way that I can possibly know that I'm actually helping someone is because I believe God said that I'll reap what I sow. I believe that He said all my effort is if I labor for the Lord, it's not in vain. It will produce fruit. I believe that what God said is actually going to take place. So, having said that, we bring about all these ideas about the modern world that we live in, and the best way to reach people is, as I said before, through the email. So everything points toward that, and that's how we can grow. There are ways to do this. There are differentiation techniques. An example of that, I think I mentioned it already. If you go to ttil.tv and look at our sign-up form, there are different ways, different things that you can check off. And you can check all of them or none of them, or one of them, whatever you want. And most of the people that were on the email list already, I sent out a blast to everyone. I said, listen, I want you to do one of two things. I want you to either unsubscribe or pick something you're interested in, because I don't want to be a nuisance. And most people didn't either. Most of them just ignored it, and they read it, and they just decided not to pick anything. And that's okay. So when I send stuff out, I look at the list of people that signed up for specific things, and I send it to them, and then also pick the list that didn't sign up for anything. And they just get everything, because I warned them. And so everything I send out, if they didn't sign up for anything, they get everything. And I'm going to try not to be too annoying, but it's their own fault. So there are ways, that's one technique of differentiating what people are looking for. And the reason that's important is because that way it ensures that when you send them an email, they're actually going to want to see it and not just dump it somewhere. That's important. There's marketing campaigns that could happen. There's lead magnets and tripwires, et cetera. I've already mentioned some of those things. Some of those maybe buzzwords that you've heard before. These are things that I hope that if you're interested in this kind of thing, I hope you'll look into it, because there's a lot of interesting things that are happening because of these. And I can talk to you more about it